maybe the other sort of sign stealing should be banned as well.
Yeah, but then you get into stuff that's just impossible to police, isn't it? That's the problem.
Yeah,
And well, this was obviously impossible to police because it's taken them quite a long time, hasn't it? I mean,
yeah,
I'm um I'm not anywhere near the camp that's you've ruined the integrity of the game, you've cheated us all out of all this stuff. The players should all be banned forever.
yeah,
I think, considering how it sounds, there are definitely questions about whether players should have been punished. But again, if this is stuff that's just like it started off as clubhouse chatter, how
yeah.
do you who do you punish for what? Like there was one of them, wasn't there, that said they didn't want to be involved. Someone who's left now. Oh God, I can't remember who it was. But I saw an interview with someone who said, I don't really want anything to do with that. Um,
Yeah, I can't
but
remember who that
what?
was.
So every player who we hear a bang during one of their at bats, when we go back and watch them, do they get banned for 50 games or what? Like,
Yeah. How do you know they
we
were
can't,
even paying attention to that? Or it wasn't just
and,
someone
and,
bang, yeah.
and unless we want to unless they're going to stitch each other up, there's no way we know which players really led it.
Yeah, that's the weird thing though, isn't it? Is that apparently, well, from what Rob Manfred has said, of the evidence apparently of this happening, of certain things that they've now said, is that he said it's from, like, the actual players saying it, like admitting it basically. But
Yeah,
then in public, a lot of them still denying it, like denying
yeah,
things that apparently they'd previously admitted in private. Which I guess I guess they only admitted it in private because they, yeah, assumed that wouldn't come out or something. You know? Hello?
yeah. Well, I think I think that the way the Astros have dealt with it is almost the biggest thing. Manfred's got loads of stick. I think he's in a pretty impossible position.
Yeah. Yeah, because as we said, I can't really think of a punishment that actually makes sense, that really helps anyone. Um, that's not just, I don't know, pointless revenge against people that weren't even responsible for it. Uh, yeah, I think it's basically the closest thing is probably players. If you can prove that players were involved and were like leading it, then punishing them in some way, I guess. Or maybe giving them like players bans. But I don't, like you said, I don't know how you tell which ones it was. Like who were the people leading it? Um, Hello?
Hello, that completely fell apart.
Okay. I was just talking anyway, so I guess we'll just carry on. This is how incredibly professional this podcast is. Yeah, by the way, everyone. Um, but yeah, okay. I guess the problem is you didn't hear what I was just saying, so we can't really carry on our conversation.
No.
Um, let's move on. Talking well, what because I thought of another thing actually we can touch on that came out, which I don't know, depending on point of view of whether it's an extension of the terrible off season or not, is the proposed playoff changes, which actually was quite big news
Oh yeah,
and it's sort of interesting.
I'd
Well,
forgotten this had happened.
yeah, because you actually wrote an article about like proposed playoff changes a while ago, didn't you?
Yeah,
That was like a bit different to this, but basically more playoff teams. There are a lot of people that say just we don't want more playoff teams. Um, you know, like because it just devalues it. Which personally, I think they should like more playoff teams is good, but maybe not. Maybe not quite as many as they've got. I don't know, and maybe structure it a bit differently because the way they have it at the moment is like the third wildcard team doesn't have that much of a disadvantage on like the second best team in the division in the league.
yeah.
Um, what is it? Is it or even the fourth? Was it four wild cards?
I can't remember exactly how many.
I think it
Their
was.
suggestion actually works better for the NBA, I think, because
Yeah,
matchups don't matter too much in baseball.
yeah.
But in the
Basically,
NBA,
what you
it'd be
need to do
really
is
interesting.
like they have already with the wildcard game, is that you can have the extra teams in, but they need to go through more rounds, basically, like they have in the NFL. But I think you don't want being the second best team in the American League, for example, should not have like almost the same chances as um, the eighth best team, basically,
Yeah.
which is what the current proposals are. Is like basically the division winners, um, and maybe like I don't know, top wild card or something somehow, or like in a different level, or maybe you have, or maybe the division winners go through, and then you have, well, yeah, and then maybe you have the four wild card spots where they all have like that. Then you basically get more randomness if you're not if you're a wild card team, basically. So you have four wild card spots, but they could all play off each other, have some form of playoffs between them, where you have like 3 game series, or maybe you have like 2 1 game playoffs, and then the winners go into a 3 game series or something. Basically, extending the wildcard round.
That was basically my suggestion
Yeah,
in my article a while ago.
yeah. But basically, what they've
Is
got at the moment,
extend the wildcard ride round
yeah,
rather than do
yeah,
what they're doing. Because I think you want to, because the majority of your games still played against division, you want to reward winning the division still. I don't think you
yeah,
should take that away.
yeah, and I think there should still be you still have an advantage from being one of the best teams. I mean, you do if you're the best team in the league, but like still, yeah, like you say, if you're division winner, because like I don't know, they probably come up with an example from last season, but it'd be something like um, so like the Braves and like the what would it be? The Cubs would both be in the playoffs. Like they'd have their 3 game series against each other in the new proposal. Or actually, even the Mets, the Braves and the Mets. I suppose it doesn't seem that ridiculous, but the Braves won 11 more games than the Mets, which I feel like that needs to be worth something.
Yeah, you have to have a way to balance. But
Yeah,
I think particularly because the response I see to this stuff is almost exclusively on Twitter. Some of it is just Twitter as a platform absolutely hates all change.
yeah, but yeah, partly
Particularly
that.
once the majority of the first response is anger, and then everyone else is just angry because everyone else is being angry, and then a few people stick their hand up and say, actually, it might not be that bad, and then 1,000 people tell them they're an arsehole for saying it might not be that
Yeah,
bad. That's basically how it works.
yeah,
But I think I'm glad MLB are looking to change it.
yeah.
I think the playoffs need a tweak.
Well, we've talked about this, haven't we, before? Of the baseball basically seems to be, well, there's certain things they change quickly, but there's some things that they are slower to change. I mean, they're still quicker to change stuff than like sports in this country, for example. But I mean, like the NBA though, for example, which is quite a lot more successful at the moment, is constantly tweaking stuff. I mean, people. I don't think you get. I've not seen the same sort of level of stuff of people moaning about stuff changing in the NBA, but like you know, there's always more talk about them changing something to make something better. And I think,
Well, they just had
yeah,
a huge success with their All-Star game,
yeah, exactly, yeah,
but because they just thought, well, this is getting a bit stale, and just completely threw the cat amongst the pigeons.
yeah,
Everyone complained about it for a bit, and then everyone realized it was amazing.
yeah. And basically, baseball's in a bit of crisis with you know, sort of all their fans being old and being way behind.
Dying. All the
Yeah,
fans are dying,
and they're
basically.
basically behind the other sports now because they're not attracting new fans. But
What-
but like while it may make it less significant, like the regular season less significant, which is what people complain about it, and like all the basically all of the like stats, like the in-depth nerdy stats and projections, are less meaningful. Which I mean, I like those stats like probably more than most baseball fans. To be honest, I'm really into the stats stuff. At the same time, it's like most people, that is not what they watch sport for. They watch it for the entertainment, and for just pure entertainment and tension and everything, the playoffs is like by far better than like any regular season game.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense to have more of that, have more teams involved in it, and then you get more fans watching the playoffs and get
What did you?
excited about baseball.
So I saw Dan Simbrowski. I hope that's how you say his name.
Yeah,
I think
the
he was
guy that
saying,
does zips.
yeah, I think it was him that was saying that the issue with making more teams in the playoffs is it might curb some tanking, but what it
Yeah,
will do is it will allow teams like the Red Sox with the Mookie Betts trade that I've just complained about,
yeah,
is teams that will then go, actually, we don't need to get better. We still make the playoffs by being like just over 500. So
yeah,
it doesn't encourage you to be as good as possible. It encourages you to be like good enough.
yeah. I guess so. But also, yeah, there's I guess there's an argument of the NBA. Obviously, you have loads of teams in playoffs, but the bad teams don't win. But I guess with baseball, is a lot more random. Like any team can beat any team in a one-off series. But I think that's why you need to have it so the wildcard teams, if you have four as well, it also makes it so that the top two wildcard teams even that you have now aren't like that's not as valuable getting those spots either because it's basically if you're a wildcard team, you've you have like one game playoffs and then a three game series or something. You know, just extend the playoffs a little bit, have some more teams involved. But those teams still it's basically a 1 in 4 chance of actually getting into the real playoffs. So I feel like there's although you sort of get in the playoffs, you're quite likely to not really have any games. Like you could be out in
Yeah,
3 games.
I'd be tempted to do if we did the suggestion we just said, where you keep the divisional round as it is, with one
Yeah,
wild card team getting into divisional round, where you have the four teams as you said, where one plays four, two plays three, but one and two you have 3 game series there,
yeah,
but one and two get all three at home.
yeah. That'd be good actually. Less traveling as well, so you can just play like 3 back-to-back games. It doesn't even add that much more time.
Yep, and
Yeah,
that's one way to try and. I don't have the
yeah.
numbers on how much home advantage helps in a playoff series, but
No,
I bet if you had three on the bounce at home, that seems like that's quite a
yeah.
significant
We're
advantage.
actually gonna have to stop now. Could talk about this a bit more, but we're running out of time.
We'll have to another time. I guess we lost a few minutes to the technical difficulties that may
Yeah,
well have just been us talking over each other for a minute.
yeah. Who knows? I
Because
think I think actually we wouldn't have picked up you because you're yeah, anyway, you know, yeah. Yeah, that's just in the middle of the recording anyway, whatever happened there. Okay. Bye
bye.
everybody. Till next time.